Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep today into something universal, something that touches absolutely everyone, often in the quiet moments when, no one else is watching. Self-discipline.
And for this deep dive, we have a really interesting source. It's not an academic paper or a how-to guide, but actually a series of compelling excerpts. They're simply titled Self-Discipline.
Right, and they tell the story of one person's lived experience, giving us this like ground level view of what the journey actually looks like.
That person is Maya. She's a young university student, just kind of navigating life without any particular advantages. Not even a really crystal clear roadmap for her future. She's just, well, trying to figure it out.
But she's on the cusp, isn't she? On the verge of discovering this quiet, powerful force that could fundamentally change her whole path.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really get into Maya's story, to follow her journey step by step, pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, and truly understand what this force self-discipline is.
Not just as a concept, right? But how it shapes a life from the inside out.
Precisely. We're looking for those surprising facts, those practical perspectives you might just be able to, use on your own path.
So where does it all kick off for Maya? Like for so many of us, it seems to start with that daily battle, the battle against comfort. It starts with the alarm clock.
Ah, yes. The infamous alarm clock war, as the text actually calls it. It's, 5.45 or 6:00 a.m., the alarm's buzzing, and every fiber of her being just wants to hit snooze, right? Sink back into the warmth.
Totally. And she doesn't have to be up. There's no like external deadline screaming at her. She's just a tired student who yet again promised herself this time would be different.
Yeah, the whole wake up early, run, read, eat something healthy routine. It's that classic internal conflict, isn't it?
Yeah.
The loud voice pleading for ease versus that quiet whisper pushing for progress.
And what this first scene immediately shows us, that core nugget, is that the battle for self-discipline doesn't start with conquering like mountains.
No. It starts right there in those tiny mundane moments. And the first victory isn't the whole hour-long routine. It's just sitting up.
Just getting vertical. The source really emphasizes how profound that small win is. Because changing those deep-seated habits is incredibly difficult. It takes genuine strength to fight against your own comfortable inertia.
And Maya knew this well. Before this turning point, she was, as the story puts it, the queen of comfort.
Sounds familiar. Binge watching, social media scrolls, just melting hours away.
Oh, yeah. Late night junk food. Always telling herself, I'll change tomorrow. That classic line.
We've all been there. But the turning point wasn't some huge dramatic event.
No, not a lightning bolt. It was quiet. Just one evening, standing in front of her mirror. She wasn't like miserable, but she wasn't thriving either. She was just tired.
Tired of the gap.
Exactly. The gap between who she was and who she knew, deep down she could be. And it hit her. I can do more, but this is going to take work.
And the text is super clear. This change isn't a sudden storm. It's described, I thought beautifully, as a dripping faucet.
I like that. One hard decision made, one moment of discipline layered on the next. Waking up early, forcing yourself out for that run.
Picking up a book instead of her phone.
Choosing fruit over a donut. Writing down goals. And critically, starting to keep the small promises she made just to herself.
Which is huge. But importantly, the story doesn't sugarcoat it, does it? She failed.
Oh, many times. Hit snooze, skipped a run, gave in to a craving.
Yeah.
But the fundamental shift, the real difference maker, wasn't about achieving perfection or avoiding failure. It was that she kept coming back.
Right. She didn't let a stumble or even a few stumbles define the entire journey.
That's it, that consistency, showing up even when every cell in your body screams no, doing what's right, even when absolutely no one's watching. That's how this material defines self-discipline in its earliest form, building strength in silence.
Away from the spotlight, there's a specific moment described that felt so real, running past a local bakery.
Oh, I love this part too. The smell of fresh croissants, warm, buttery. You can practically feel it hitting her.
Totally. Her legs are burning, she's hungry, and that little voice just screams, "You earned this. Go on, just one."
The immediate, compelling pull of instant gratification. It's powerful.
But her response.
She smiles, whispers, "Not yet," and keeps running home. And the nugget here, the insight, is that the homemade breakfast she eats isn't just fuel, it's proof.
Proof! Proof she's actively breaking the cycle of old habits. Proof that change isn't just, possible. It's actually happening bite by bite. It's proof she's building character over that immediate, fleeting comfort.
And the power of that moment is in its quietness, isn't it? No applause, no Instagram post.
Nothing. It was a victory entirely for herself. Winning that specific small battle against the bakery today meant she strengthened her ability to win the next one tomorrow. It was all leading towards becoming the woman she envisioned.
Built not on talent or luck, the text says, but on the steady, silent mastery of herself.
Okay, so she's conquering the mornings, building this routine, feeling, a sense of control maybe 2 weeks in. Things are clicking. Seems like progress, but then the source introduces an interesting wrinkle. Success itself can breed a different kind of danger.
Yeah, and that danger isn't necessarily failure this time. It's temptation showing up in new, maybe more subtle ways.
So what does that look like for Maya?
Well, what's fascinating is how this first big temptation arrives. It doesn't look like, a villain lurking. It arrives with a smile and a text message. Her best friend, Carla.
Inviting her over for Friday movie night.
The ultimate comfort zone. Popcorn, soda, pizza, ice cream.
It's not just the food, right? It's the familiarity, the old routines, the connection, the simple ease of not having to stick to the plan. And she misses her friend.
You could just feel her conflict, her thumb hovering over the reply button. The pull of that comfort, that ease, it's strong.
But then she sees her running shoes drying, her notebook open.
Right. Open to the plan for the evening, review goals, light dinner, sleep early. The internal war flares up again. But this time, it's not just about getting out of bed. It's about choosing between two different versions of her Friday night, maybe even two futures.
She stands there, just stuck for a moment, making that difficult choice.
And the text she sends back. Next Friday, I promise. Tonight, I need to stay on track.
Oof. Hitting send. And the source highlights an immediate consequence, doesn't it?
Yes, a wave of sadness. The loneliness of saying no.
This feels like a really critical insight. Self-discipline isn't just about saying yes to the good stuff. It's often about saying no to things you genuinely enjoy, things you miss, sometimes even people you love, even if it's just temporary.
It hurts. It feels like missing out. But the source calls it a temporary growing pain.
But then look at the morning after.
Yeah. She wakes naturally, no alarm needed. Her body's adjusting. Her mind feels clearer. The sadness is weaker. And Carl's response is just brilliant.
What'd she say?
I'm proud of you. Also, I fell asleep. Your boring life is rubbing off on me.
Huh. That shows something else important, right? Temptation isn't just external things like pizza. It's the pull of old habits, nostalgia, the version of yourself that preferred staying the same.
And Maya's choice, while it felt isolating right then, it subtly impacted her friend. It showed that even when discipline looks boring from the outside, it has this quiet power.
Okay, so social temptation is one thing, but then another classic challenge pops up. Procrastination.
Oh, yes. A huge assignment looming, due in 48 hours. She has a plan, she's ready to start, But the phone buzzes, funny memes, viral
And
videos.
poof, an hour gone.
Before she even realizes it. That feeling, staring at the screen, chest tightening, the recognition is instant. This is the silent thief stealing her time, her future, just like those late night scrolls used to.
So what does she do? Does she spiral?
This time, her action is different. It's decisive, simple, almost ritualistic.
Yeah.
Close her eyes, take a deep breath, put the phone on airplane mode, physically throw it onto the bed across the room.
Get it away.
Exactly. And open a blank document. It's like a physical declaration of intent.
Then
She finishes half the assignment that afternoon. And the feeling wasn't like adrenaline or wild excitement. It was just good. That deep, quiet satisfaction you get from doing the hard thing, the right thing for your goals.
This connects directly to that powerful quote the source includes, doesn't it? Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what Maya was wanting she wanted most wasn't the fleeting hit of comfort or entertainment. It was freedom.
Freedom from.
Freedom from those bad habits, from regret, from the feeling of chaos. It was control over her own time, her energy, her choices. And the story's clear that freedom had a price, sacrifice.
And day by day, choice by choice, she was paying that price. Temptation still knocked.
But she wasn't blindly opening the door anymore. She was learning to listen to that voice, acknowledge it, maybe even smile, and then choose her deeper goal. She was seeing that self-discipline wasn't a punishment. It was literally the path to becoming the person she was meant to be.
So she's building habits, navigating social stuff, battling procrastination. Externally, it looks like she's really succeeding.
Right. But then, as the story reveals, comes a different kind of challenge, something internal. It's captured in what's called the first mirror moment.
Okay, what happens here?
She's exhausted, but not physically tired from running. It's more like a hollowness inside.
Even though things are going well on the outside, like almost a month in, hasn't missed a run, eating clean, grades improving.
Exactly. By all outward measures, she's crushing it. But she's sitting in the library, looking at her impressive, color-coded plan of goals and habits. And this question just floats into her mind. Why am I doing all this?
She lost the why.
Precisely. She has so focused on the how to execute the routine, how to stick to the plan, that she lost sight of the deeper why. The initial motivation just felt dim, distant.
And when she looks in the mirror,
It hits her. Tired eyes, a flicker of doubt. She feels like a ghost. Disciplined, yes, but somehow empty. And that whisper of doubt gets louder. What if none of this is enough? What is this even for?
wow. This moment really highlights a critical insight, doesn't it? That self-discipline without a connection to a deeper purpose or like self-awareness can lead straight to burnout or just feeling empty.
And it's made harder because there's no external validation for these quiet internal wins. Nobody gives you a trophy for not hitting snooze or for saying no to pizza.
Her journal entry from this time sounds really raw.
It is. What if I'm just fooling myself? Building a life of routines without passion. I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. Maybe I'm not as strong as I thought. It's her admitting that vulnerability hiding beneath the disciplined surface.
But then something shifts, a memory.
Yet a surprising memory surfaces from her childhood. Falling off her bike, scraped knees, really wanting to quit. But the next day, she got back on,
Okay.
and she realizes something important. She wasn't brave back then because she wasn't afraid. She was brave because she rode through the fear.
That's a powerful distinction. So applying that now.
It gives her this new understanding. Self-discipline isn't about not feeling doubt or fear or exhaustion. It's about having the quiet strength to keep showing up, to keep riding through the pain, even when your heart feels heavy and the spark feels dim.
So the mirror showed the surface, the doubt, the tiredness.
But her actions over the past month, they showed the deeper truth. Persistence, quiet growth, courage being built not in comfort, but right there in the struggle.
This moment sparks a kind of new rule for her, doesn't it? Honesty.
Yes. Stop trying to look strong for some imagined audience. Be real. When it's hard, admit it's hard. When motivation is lost, don't beat yourself up about it. Allow yourself to rest, reflect, remember your purpose, and crucially, forgive yourself.
So self-discipline becomes less rigid.
Exactly. She starts to see it less like a rigid uphill march and more like a wave. Sometimes motivation is high, doubt is low. Sometimes doubt is high, motivation is low. But the key is staying with the wave, always moving forward if she keeps showing up, even imperfectly.
And her second journal entry really captures that shift.
It does. Today, I didn't feel strong, but I kept going. That has to count for something. I'm not chasing perfection. I'm building resilience. And maybe that's enough for now. There's a piece in that, isn't there? Acceptance, not just performance.
Absolutely. This is where she truly begins learning to listen inward, to forgive herself, and to trust that this messy journey is actually about becoming herself, fully and honestly. A crucial internal recalibration.
But the journey of self-mastery isn't just an internal monologue, right? Sometimes the external world delivers a blow that feels like a breaking point.
Okay, so what happens to Maya?
It happened weeks later, just a regular Thursday. She wakes up late for the first time in 6 weeks.
Oh no, the streak is broken.
The whole careful morning routine gone. Rushing, stressed, arriving late for class, and then that quiet request from the professor, see me after class. You just feel the dread building.
And then the blow lands.
Her paper. Returned, marked in red, 58%. See me for feedback. Just shock. That feeling of disconnect, is that my grade? After all this work.
And the professor's reaction.
Not angry, which somehow makes it hit even harder. Just, I'm disappointed. This isn't your best work. Honest, direct. A mirror held up to a specific area of failure, despite all the overall effort she'd been making.
And the emotional response.
Collapse. Immediate
Yeah.
and total. Tears streaming down her face in the courtyard. That wave of failure just washing over her, erasing all the small victories in her mind. The desperate urge to just quit everything.
That feeling of, maybe I'm just not cut out for this.
Exactly. Maybe I'm not meant for this discipline thing. Maybe I'm not meant for this course, this path.
The story describes her pulling out her phone, starting to journal about wanting to quit.
Yes, a raw entry admitting it. And then deleting it. Not because the feeling wasn't real, it was very real, but because it wasn't the whole story.
Ah. She remembered the context.
She remembered the months of quiet struggle, the small wins no one saw, the pain needed to be felt, acknowledged, absolutely. But it didn't negate the entire journey so far.
So what does she do instead of quitting?
She seeks sanctuary. Goes to the quiet art building, sits on the floor, just breathes, lets the emotional storm rage without trying to fight it or suppress it.
And in that quiet space,
She remembers a quote from a mentor mentioned in the source. You will hit walls, real walls, not in your path, but inside yourself. Self-discipline means learning how to climb them, break them, or rest beside them without giving up.
wow.
And she realizes this paper grade, the disappointment, the urge to quit this, was her wall. Right here, right now.
And the choice is stark again. Walk away, let this define her as a failure.
Or learn from it. She looks at the professor's feedback again. It's specific, actionable. The failure isn't final, it's a gift, as the source calls it, a hard lesson, pointing exactly where she needs to improve.
She reaches out too, right? Calls her mom.
Yes, for conflict and perspective. shares the weight of this journey for the first time, and her mother offers this profound redefinition of strength.
What does she say?
You don't have to be perfect to be proud. Strength isn't how straight you walk the path. It's that you keep walking even when you limp,
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
isn't it? So that night, Maya engages in a different kind of discipline. Not the discipline of doing more, pushing harder.
But the discipline of being.
Exactly. Sitting with herself, allowing the pain, the disappointment, choosing to rest, to heal, so she could begin again tomorrow.
This moment feels like it reveals one of the most powerful nuggets in the whole story.
I think so too.
Hmm?
Self-discipline is not a guarantee against failure or pain. The road is uneven. Sometimes it really breaks you. But the strength, the discipline, lies in the decision to keep going, to rise no matter how hard you fall.
Failure isn't the end of the journey. It's often the difficult, necessary ground for deeper growth. She hadn't failed as a person. She had simply felt failure in a specific instance.
And that feeling, processed honestly, could become the fire to choose to rise the next day. Which brings us to the rise within.
Okay, the morning after the breakdown. How is she?
She stands at the mirror, puffy eyes, body heavy with that lingering weight of disappointment. But she is standing. Not with the usual energy, no, but with quiet resolve. She didn't give up.
And her showing up that day is different.
Very different. Not following the routine rigidly, but showing up to class, sitting with an open mind, smiling tentatively at the professor. It's presence over perfection.
She starts rebuilding, but with care, not force.
Yes. Taking necessary breaks, asking questions, spending time in silence, reflecting on who she is becoming, not dwelling on past failures. The focus shifts. It's less about external achievement, more about internal processing and growth.
The internal work becomes the priority.
Absolutely. She stops trying to project an image of strength and focuses on the core. Staying calm under pressure, seeking to understand the professor's feedback, the lesson, rather than panicking about the grade, the outcome, and asking for help, which was hard for her.
And that simple act of asking for help, it leads somewhere unexpected.
It does. Aisha, a fellow student, approaches her, and she says she's noticed Maya's focus and discipline. It's like the outside world is finally seeing a reflection of that internal shift.
And how does Maya respond? Does she downplay it?
No, and this shows her newfound authenticity. She doesn't pretend to have it all figured out. She shares that she just tries to keep going, especially when she doesn't feel like it. She admits, you're definitely not alone in struggling. And she offers to study together.
That's a beautiful pivot point.
Isn't it? More students start connecting with her, drawn not to some perceived perfection, but to her honesty, her quiet persistence. She's showing them, just by being herself, that struggle and failure are part of the path.
And that finding your feet again is where the real strength lies. It's like this humble leadership emerging organically.
Exactly. Her habits return, yes, but they're transformed. The runs are slower, more peaceful. The journaling is deeper, more real. She seeks understanding in her reading, not just covering pages. She faces the pain and doubt when they arise instead of pushing them away.
A new kind of strength is forged.
Totally. Not the kind that says don't cry, but the strength that allows you to cry and still stand up and still show up.
And her grades improve.
They do. Not because she's suddenly a perfect robot, but because her confidence is growing in who she is becoming, which naturally impacts what she can do.
She finds her voice, too.
Yeah. Speaks up in class, respectfully challenges an idea. The professor's positive reaction isn't just validation of her thought, it solidifies her feeling of belonging. Like, okay, I'm not an imposter here.
The power here comes directly from weathering that internal storm of doubt and failure.
It allowed her to bloom. Quietly, steadily, one honest choice at a time. That internal whisper she had, "I'm not done yet," became her true power source. She rose not because life got easier, but because she found strength from within the struggle itself.
This quiet blooming leads to another significant point in the story, the second mirror moment.
Right. And this growth wasn't sudden or dramatic. The source compares it to a seed underground. It's only much later you notice the steady change. In her voice, her pace, her presence, the way she holds eye contact.
So where do we see this moment crystallize?
It's the end of the semester.
Yeah.
She's submitting the final essay for that very class where she got the 58%.
Wow, full circle. Is she nervous?
The text says there's no fear of the outcome this time. She knows she gave it everything, her time, her truth, her heart.
And walking past those same glass doors,
Where she saw her reflection months ago, feeling like a ghost. She pauses. She sees the woman in the glass now, standing tall, calm, her eyes steady, not perfect, not polished, but undeniably present, alive.
and she has a big realization.
A profound one. Her old idea of self-discipline was about restriction, cold, hard control, forcing herself into a mold. But the woman reflected back, looks liberated.
That's the nugget, isn't it? Self-discipline, truly understood and practiced, isn't about denying who you are. It's about honoring who you could become by choice, not force.
Every act of discipline, getting up after falling, choosing reflection over reaction, listening to her own needs, it wasn't about becoming rigid. It was about building something fundamental, trust in herself. She trusts now that she can handle the hard parts.
And the final grade for that essay?
92%. With a note. Excellent progress. Mature thought. Keep going.
And she agrees with it this time.
Completely. She smiles, not just for the number, but because she knows she made progress. In the class, yes, but more importantly in her life.
She remembers standing broken, close to quitting, just weeks ago, and now.
Stronger, wiser, more grounded. She takes a walk by the river, just for herself. No agenda, no destination required, just being present.
And she thinks about what she'd tell people.
Yeah, everyone who asked her how she did it. She wishes she could share the full, messy truth. It wasn't easy. It was full of doubt, real failures, tears, moments she was so close to giving up.
At those moments,
The deep dives into the struggle, the vulnerability, those were the middle. And that, she realizes, is where the real story grows.
her final journal entry for the semester captures this perfectly.
It reads, "Self-discipline is not the absence of weakness. It's the decision to return to strength again and again, no matter how far you've fallen. The mirror doesn't lie. I'm not who I was. I'm becoming who I am."
And the smile she gives herself in that second mirror moment.
It's not for the world or the grades or the praise. It's for herself. Finally seeing what was there all along, waiting to be built and revealed through the practice of showing up.
This internal transformation, it couldn't help but ripple outwards, right? Leading to what the source calls the voice of impact.
Right. Maya never set out to be a leader or a speaker, but her professor notices something profound in her journey.
And he nominates her for something.
To speak at the Student Growth Forum, her initial reaction is just laughter like, "Mistake." Me. I have no flashy achievement to share.
But the professor's reasoning is key.
He says he saw more genuine growth in her than in any other student. And his advice, just be real. That's what people need.
So she says,
Yeah.
stands at the podium. How does that go?
Heart thumping, voice trembling at first. But she looks out and sees these relatable faces, students who also feel like they're struggling, pushing, maybe failing sometime.
And her message connects.
It's simple, honest, straight from her experience. She starts by admitting her old, wrong idea of discipline being hard on herself, pushing relentlessly, but the learning. Discipline isn't about force, she says. It's about faith.
Faith.
Faith to show up imperfectly,
Mhm.
messy, and still be worthy of the effort, still worthy of trying again.
She shares the raw story, the journal, the tears.
The journal, the tears, the quiet moments of reflection, the slow, messy rebuild. Choosing presence over perfection, progress over flawless execution, rest over burnout.
And the audience.
Silence at first, then this warm, honest applause.
And afterwards.
This is deeply impactful. Students approach her, some with wet eyes, saying things like, "I didn't know anyone else felt like that." They share their own struggles with pushing too hard, feeling lazy when they inevitably burned out.
They aren't inspired by a perfect facade. They're moved by her truth.
Exactly. This leads to this quiet, authentic influence. She starts sharing simple, honest reflections on the student notice board. And people listen because they know she walked through the storm and was willing to show her scars, not just her victories.
Her impact isn't leading with, like, a position of power.
No, it's leading from the center of her own lived experience with presence. Her story becomes a bridge, a powerful reminder to others that they aren't alone in their struggles and that quiet courage is a real force.
Her voice, which started shaky.
Becomes steady, kind, real, and profoundly powerful. She found strength not just within herself, but by standing beside others in their shared human experience of growth.
Okay, so she's found this inner strength, this authentic voice. But life always has more tests, doesn't it?
Indeed. The story brings us to a final test of this new embodied strength in a section called Unshakable. Life delivers a profound, unexpected blow. Her father becomes seriously ill.
Oh, wow. That shakes everything.
Her world is shaken, the future blurs. Old fears of collapsing under pressure definitely resurface.
But her reaction is different this time.
Something different stirs within her, a kind of calm she hadn't known before.
She applies the lesson she learned.
Immediately. Discipline isn't about never being broken by life's hardships. It's about the strength to get up when you are broken. It's about facing the storm not with rigid resistance, but with acceptance and quiet courage.
So, practically, what does that look like?
Taking practical steps forged in that discipline, arranging her schedule, being honest and communicating clearly with professors, asking for support when she needs it, seeing that not as weakness, but as a disciplined act of self-care and facing reality.
She shows up consistently.
Consistently, for her father and for herself. Even if those days are messy, tearful, far from perfect. Yes, there are absolutely moments where the weight feels unbearable.
And the journal. Still important.
Her lifeline again. Not just for routines now, but a space to process pain, remind herself she's more than her struggles or fears, that she's a fighter who refuses to stay down.
She learns to balance things differently.
Balance radical acceptance of the situation with disciplined prioritization, and maybe most importantly, to be deeply kind to herself through the whole process.
Her understanding of discipline transforms yet again.
It's no longer rigid control at all. It's flexible resilience, the ability to keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other, even when the path ahead is terrifyingly unclear. It's holding hope and reality together.
So when a friend asks her, how do you do it? How do you keep going?
Her evolved answer just encapsulates the entire journey. I don't have all the answers. Self-discipline means being unshakable, not because you never fall, but because you always stand back up.
Wow. And a deep gratitude emerges.
Yes, not for the easy days, but for the hardest ones who revealed her strength. The strength forged in all that messy, quiet work of self-discipline. Her journey isn't over, obviously. Life continues.
But she faces the uncertainty now, not with fear, but with this quiet confidence. Steady, present, and ready.
So wrapping this up, what does Maya's journey, as revealed in these excerpts, ultimately show us about self-discipline. It's it's miles away from that initial idea of cold, rigid control or just perfect rule following.
It's about the absolute power of consistency, yes, but woven with profound honesty, resilience born from failure, the willingness to show up for yourself even when it's messy and painful.
And that quiet, almost invisible courage to keep returning to your strength no matter how many times life or you yourself knock you down.
Maya's story is such a powerful reminder that this journey of self-discipline isn't always loud or, celebrated by others. The most significant work, the deepest growth, the fundamental transformation of who you are, it happens quietly within.
Yeah. And consider Maya's powerful realization near the end.
Yeah.
Self-discipline wasn't about restriction, it was about liberation, the freedom to choose who she would become.
And her understanding that the middle of the struggle, the
Mm.
doubt, the failure, the tears, the near giving up moments, those aren't interruptions to the story. They are where the story and the character truly grows.
So maybe based on that, a thought to leave you with.
Mm.
What step could you take today? Not toward some external, unattainable ideal of perfection.
But just towards returning to your own strength, right where you are, bumps, bruises, and all.
Something to sit with.